Hi, peeps. Welcome back to the It's Your Life and Your Choice 2 podcast, where only you can change it. This is a side segment called Alley Ups and Alley Oops, and I want to go ahead and say thank you for tuning in. Thank you for those who have been following along. And if you're new here, hey, welcome. I'd love to hear from you. And with that being said, I actually have an email that you can submit to anything that you're going through in your life, things that you're like struggling with, relationships that you're going through, whether it's a friendship, a family member, boss, coworker, whoever. Make sure you provide a lot of details as to what's going on, your side too, not just their side. And just be careful of not to trauma dump and watch the words that you use. Everything will be read anonymously. And you can send that email into it's your life, period, your choice to the number two at gmail.com. And I look forward to hearing from you. And also, if you could give a like, follow, a share, it'd greatly help the algorithm to get it out there. And it's free to do. So thank you. And on to why you guys haven't seen me in a little bit. I'm a day behind my Monday podcast. However, I did miss my Thursday podcast. I was not feeling well. Sorry. Um, I ended up having a sore throat and my back was hurting all last week. Like it was immense. And I could not just find the time to just sit down and record on top of uh when by the time I got home and finished taking care of the kiddos and making dinner, the whole nine, and reading them a story in bedtime, I ended up crashing and falling asleep. I was just so mentally drained. And Monday, why you guys didn't get a podcast from me is because my son's been having more seizures lately. And with that being said, he's having to be monitored a little bit more. And I've just been on my like P's and Q's about what's going on, what's happening, is he okay? And he's had a total of 6 seizures in a matter of roughly 7 days. And I'm currently working with his neuro team. We're doing everything we possibly can. If he does happen to have another one, then he will go to the ER. Hopefully, that's not the case. He's been pretty good today so far, and that's lovely to hear. The one that he had last night was due to a fever. So you guys can look into the information on what those seizures are, what causes them, how a fever affects it. But he has childhood epilepsy, and there's a lot more that's undiscovered yet because we're still going through testing. We're trying to find a happy medium with his medication. It's a lot that's going on. So my mommy heart has been hurting, and I have not been capable to be able to sit down and do a podcast because I've just been so worried about him and I don't want to leave him alone. Now, somebody is watching him right now, so that definitely eases things for me a little bit. But we're we're doing everything we can. And I just I'm going to just breathe and just keep going, take it day by day because everything in my mind is like, oh, what if this happens? What if this happens? What if I lose him? And it's just not doing anything but bringing me down. But aside from all that sappy stuff, hope you guys are doing well. As the kitty decides to come and join. Hello, this Mr. Sock. Not staying. Thank you. Bye. I just there's so much equipment around here, and I do not need him messing anything up and causing any damage. Sorry, I'm still kind of getting over that sickness, but I'm doing much better. I know you guys just saw the tail. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can see what's going on here. He is my needy cat. He loves me to death. And he's currently like, Mother, pay attention to me. And I'm not. So sorry about that. Hopefully that's it. But anyways, getting into it, I want to talk about forgiveness today because that is something I'm currently struggling with, especially this last week. Um, some of it does pertain to my ex and his girlfriend, and some of it is just my ego. I'm gonna call it like it is because it is that. I'm me holding on to this stuff is doing nobody any good, let alone myself, my mental health, any of that. So I need to release it. I need to let it all go and just realize and accept these people for who they are. Acceptance is not the same as agreeing. You're just accepting where they are. Like if the sky is blue, you're accepting that it's the color blue. You may not agree that it is the color blue, but you accept that it's the color blue. I just use that as an analogy. Don't fight me in the comments. But I need to just accept these people for where they are in life. And this doesn't just go for them. I I comment on people's driving a lot when I'm driving. Thankfully, I'm alone in my car most of the time, but especially when we are at four-way stops and I'm like, I know it's my turn to go and people just don't care because not many people care about other people or care about their surroundings. And they're okay if they cause a crash or things like that because it's their way or the highway because it's like this demeanor that they have with themselves that they're right all the time, that they're on the high horse, whatever you want to call it. There's a word for it. I'm having a mom moment or what we call blonde moment because as you see, I'm blonde. Not fully, obviously. Love the blue. But I just I don't want to harbor any of this because it's causing anger to show up and resentment as well by not forgiving these people. And we are meant to forgive these people. If we want to raise our frequency, if we want to do right by God, whatever you believe in, you have to forgive these people. You have to just let it go. Because all it's doing is building up this little stew ball that's going to grow and grow and grow until you explode. These people are going to do what they're going to do at the end of the day, and there's nothing you can do about it. You are your own person at the end of the day, and the only thing you can do is control you. As the saying goes, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't force them to drink. You can't force a person to change. You can't force a person to see it your way or give them to have your perspective. You just can't because we're all individually unique and we're all our own people, like person. However, that means we can make our own choices at the end of the day because we do have free will. We may not have full freedom. That's a whole nother story and another podcast that will be coming out later. But at the end of the day, the people are going to do what they think is best for themselves. Okay, I get it. I've made decisions that have hurt others that I thought was benefiting me and found out the hard way of, the karmatic cycle, how things work, and not fully taking into consideration all the consequences that might be in play. However, it's not right for me to judge because there's fingers that can be pointed back at me. And I understand it's my past. I'm a new person and I'm working on myself a lot and I'm trying to fix these things about me. However, there's things in my past that I still cringe about, that I'm still having to work through and be like, oh, yeah, I did that. Yeah, I did. I'm a bad human. That's right. I said it. I could be bad. That's one thing about all of us humans is none of us are truly good. We can be a good person as much as we want to, but that one bad thing that you do can outright all of the hundreds of good deeds that you do. And those people are going to remember that one bad thing that you did over the one good thing. And that's just where society lies, because we have not rewrit these cycles. We haven't rewrote these cycles. We haven't broken them. And it's just a narrative we keep teaching ourselves. We keep teaching the next generation. And it's just carried through lineages and lineages. Oh my goodness. Like, the negativity, you can't force these people to change, but if they were willing to change, we wouldn't have as high as crime rates as we do. And okay, so this is something. Um, I sometimes listen to true crime podcasts, not all the time. It's just sometimes when I'm not feeling in the mood to, like, I've listened to a lot of my worship. Um, like, I've either listened to all my worship music, I've listened to my churchy podcast where I listen to different pastors preach, things like that. Or my even the favorite podcast that I love that I've already kind of ran out of episodes is the To Be Better podcast. Um, I'll listen to true crime, and the one that I listened to today is a gentleman that he got shot 9 times. They called him the Asian version of 50 Cent. If you guys ever heard the story, you already know what I'm talking about. But this dude was so forgiving, and it had to do with his ex-wife because she wanted money that was meant for their child that he put into a trust, and she set this whole thing up for someone to shoot him. And sadly, it was happened to be high school boys, teenagers that weren't even of the legal age yet, and she ruined their lives because she just wanted her ex-husband gone. And she wanted that money that was meant for their kid that was fully disabled and could not care for himself whatsoever. And he actually forgave those teenagers and asked for them for a plea deal for them to take less time, and they were granted it. And something that I heard this repeated several times in different true crime podcasts is, like, somebody murdered somebody or whatnot, or just did some bad things in general, and they got sentenced. Like, I one of them I heard was, oh, she got 26 years in prison with maybe parole after 15. And what I hear often is, I don't feel like that was enough. Like, they needed more time. 26 years is a long time. Do you understand, like, how long that is? Like, from a baby being born to then being the age of 26? That's whoa. You're missing their entire life, basically. And we get lucky if we live to the age past 80. So some people that get even 40 something years, that's half of, like, almost half of a person's life. And yet you deem that that's not enough, that they need life in prison. That's where it comes into forgiveness and willing for people to change. And then people get so adapted into the prison lifestyle that they're not correctly set up to go back out into the world, that they end up recommitting another crime just to go back. This is actually pretty common knowledge that this happens to most convicted people, that they end up going back because they can't break the cycle anymore because they're used to it. They have a place to sleep. They have a roof over their head. They get meals put into their stomach. They have a place to shower and use the restroom, and they're not homeless. But to go back out into the society and try to fit back in and have people willing to accept you for who you are, because people aren't willing to see them change. And it's frustrating that we just can't forgive people. It Do not get me wrong. To have something bad happen to one of your family members because someone made the wrong choice or just was not in a good mindset, whatever the case may be. I'm not trying to get full into details on the gory and whatnot of that stuff, but If we had healthier lifestyles set up to help people change and to grow, then we would then be more accepting of the people renewing themselves, no matter the time frame, whether it's 2 years, 20 years, 40 years. But most people aren't willing to accept change. That we're just hurt by that one thing. Like, I can stay hurt by the way that my ex has been lately towards the kids and has hardly seen them. Like, it's been almost 4 weeks and he finally just saw one of them yesterday out of all of them. And it feels like his girlfriend's kind of allowing it. That's just my personal opinion from what I'm seeing. I could be totally wrong, and I'm not trying to just say, "Oh, this is what it is." Again, it's just my opinion of how I feel about the situation. It feels like she's allowing this stuff to happen. Again, I could be wrong. Just from outsider looking in, from what I've been told, this is what it's led me to believe. And a belief doesn't mean it's a fact, because I don't know it to be true. I just believe it. But there's that willingness, that gap right there that I just gave to, okay, prove it otherwise. Show me that this is not the case, and then we can move forward and go from there. But because I don't have the full story, I don't know fully what's going on and what all the details are. This is just what I have it listed as. And I'm not trying to put a like label on it. It's just it's listed as, okay, this is it. That's all. And I'm willing to set that healthy boundary with myself of saying that, you know what, this is just where they are in their life. This is what's going on. At the end of the day, I am not them and they are not me. I do not think for them. I do not make the actions and choices for them. So I can just control how I speak to them. I can control how I react, so on and so forth. And if they choose to change and do better, great. At the end of the day, they have only themselves to take accountability for. And when they're, say, if they continue doing this is just an example, 10 years down the road, and then they finally, I'd like to have a relationship with my child, but it's already been 10 years and you're like still repeating the same cycle. And now your child is old enough to properly form his own opinion and says, no, I don't want a relationship with you because you weren't willing to create that space for me to be able to have you in my life. And that's going to be their choice, but it's going to be solely on the actions on the other party. And that they'll have to live with themselves for their actions. And maybe they make the necessary changes that in the coming years after that they actually show, hey, I'm going to do right by you. But you have to create that space in a healthy boundary to allow change to come into play. That doesn't mean be naive. I'm not telling you to do that. That does not mean to just automatically accept them. It's like, oh yeah, they changed. Set boundaries. And say, okay, cool. Glad you've done this and you've been working on yourself. So then, just use an example. I say the kids didn't talk to their dad anymore, and then he decided to come back into their life 10 years down the road and say, all right, let's talk to the kids, see what they want, and we'll agree to one day for a couple hours every other weekend and see how it goes and see if the boys are like open and willing to want to have more time with you, and then slowly build it up. But setting healthy boundaries as to, okay, I'm going to allow this to see if you have change, but also taking into consideration all the factors. What do the boys think? How do they feel about it? This is just on this scenario that I'm using. You apply it to however you need to in your life for whatever things. Even if you let's take a step back. You have a coworker at work that you don't like. That's just this mean, nasty human being. Accept them for where they are, saying that you this is just their personality, this is who they am. This is who they am. Wow. This is who they are, and there's nothing I can do to change them. However, I can take the high road, and I can just it doesn't mean to be nice to be walked all over, but be pleasant around them, especially it being a work environment. And if that person steps out of line, then have a healthy boundary set saying, hey, I don't like when you speak to me that way. Or I don't like how I was just spoken to, and try to avoid using the word you. I don't like how I was just spoken to about this circumstance. I will I don't accept this type of oh my goodness, why can I not think of the word? I'm gonna just say language. I don't accept this type of language being used in a work environment, and I don't want any hostility. Can we please not speak to each other this way and actually communicate as healthy adults going forward? I do, if you can, muster it up. I do appreciate that you show up to work and you continue to do your job. So let's just try to do the best that we can to work together, even if we don't like each other. Boom. It doesn't have to be that exact. I just came up with that on the fly. I'm still working on this myself. But that's just a version of something you can do. You can tweak it however you want. Again, this is just examples. But we got to do this, people. We got to allow change. We got to allow to forgive these people for how they are. It doesn't mean you have to agree with how they are, but you just got to accept them for, you know what? This is just how you are. There's nothing I can do to change it. It is what it is. Oh, yeah, that saying, it is what it is. Because you can't change everything, you can't control everything. And that's something that I'll talk about on another episode about control. We all have that issue of trying to control narratives and stories and write it ourselves. But that's not how the world works. You may think that you're the center of your universe, but that doesn't mean the person next to you is allowing you to be the center of the universe. You have to understand that they are also believing that they are the center of their own universe. Okay? I love you guys. Thank you for sticking around. I really do want to hear from you about those emails. So feel free. Like I said, it's the email is it's your life period your choice to the number 2 at gmail.com. Emails will be read anonymously again, and just make sure to give details, like lengthy emails. It does not have to be 14 pages long, but at least like 2 to 3 pages would be nice, with enough to go off of. I want to help you guys. I want to see you guys succeed and become better human beings. This isn't easy, and I want to be a part of the journey with you as you're on my journey with me, seeing how I grow and everything that I've gone through. If you come in and tune in on Thursdays to the part where I talk about my life in general, to how I got here, and it gives you insights on once I get more caught up after explaining, my past and everything and certain things that I've been through, then it'll go into like what I go through on a week to week basis as to, things that I am confronted with that I sometimes may struggle with, or maybe I had a happy week and I just want to, give some praise. Whatever the case may be, I enjoy sharing that with you guys because it's showing my growth, and it's something that I can look back on myself to say that this is where I was at one point, and now this is the miles and all the steps that I've taken since then to become a better human being and to grow. But thank you so much for tuning in. I'll catch you on the next episode, peeps. Bye.